Robert F. Kennedy is charismatic. He's got a surname Kennedy. You can see the attraction for Donald Trump of having somebody like this. He is a vaccine skeptic to the nth degree and has had to be kind of convinced that he has to say, well, polio vaccines are a good thing. And he is so controversial. And I think the remarkable thing about listening to Caroline Kennedy there is not that she's opposing her first cousin, not that she's talking down his fitness for office, but it's just so jarring with the present mood in America, which is, of broadly speaking, acquiescence, and that Donald Trump can do what he wants, can have what he wants, can appoint who he wants. And that is the mood in America right now. And Caroline Kennedy has put herself right out on a limb by saying what she has said.
Yeah, and I think the way you have to see it is that Caroline Kennedy won't be changing the minds of the diehard Trumpist Republicans. What she's trying to do is remind the Democrats in the room that they have to go along with their gut instincts on this. Robert F. Kennedy has said that hepatitis B vaccine is given to children only because Merck, the pharmaceutical company, colluded with the government to get the shot recommended for kids. There's a lot of conspiracy. I mean, even if you put to one side the stuff about whether or not he killed a baby bear and left it in Central Park, or whether or not he ate a shark, fished a shark, killed a shark?
Yeah, decapitated a whale, I thought. I mean, there are all sorts of stories.
There's a lot of kind of batshit crazy stuff, but that's not the stuff that they're going to be concerned about. The stuff they're going to be concerned about is whether they are putting a man at the centre of America's health department who fundamentally doesn't believe in modern medicine. And I think we have seen so far very little resistance within Trump's Republican Party, within the Republican Party, I should say, to any of his confirmation hearings so far. Pete Hegseth got in by the narrowest of margins. He's the Fox News anchor that is now going to be the head of defence. Right. And it was only because two kind of independent-minded Republican senators, Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski, were joined by Mitch McConnell, the former Senate leader, that it had to go to a tie, which brought in J.D. Vance. If that was the most controversial and that still got through, I think Caroline Kennedy's thinking, don't screw this one up. This would be bad news for everyone, for everyone's child, for everyone trying to kind of get by in America.
Look, you mentioned one or two of the things that Kennedy has espoused in the past. I mean, I could add a little bit to that list. He's also suggested that human-made chemicals in water systems could turn children gay or transgender. So it's the chemicals in the water. He's peddled AIDS denialism, alleging that HIV does not cause AIDS and questioning the theology that HIV is the sole cause of AIDS. He's gone on to talk about the vaccines cause autism in child, the MMR vaccine, and so it goes on.
I mean, discredited theories from 20 years ago, he still clings on to, even though they have been roundly rejected by medical consensus.
But on the flip side of that, there have been one or two Democrats as well who have come to his side over kind of America's obesity crisis and the fact that, you know, super processed foods are making Americans obese with type 2 diabetes, and they need to change the diet, and ultra processed foods are not the way to go. Now, Donald Trump, who loves nothing more than a Big Mac, you know, it could be the next health secretary taking on
all
food.
I would say, and you're right, I mean, but it is possible to want to do something about an American obesity problem without actually throwing out modern medicine and vaccination at the same time. I mean, I was quite surprised to hear Bernie Sanders, who obviously is an independent, he's the independent senator for Vermont, but he caucuses always with the Democrats. He was saying he's very minded to, you know, listen out RFK and see what he said. You can see why some on the left, who have long campaigned against whether it's big pharma or, you know, big capitalism or the sort of takeover of America by the multinationals, they do want to hear him out. And maybe it will be that even people like Bernie Sanders kind of think that he's going to offer something fresh to the way America views its sort of health system. But it is interesting that on the night before, you're getting somebody who knows him very well saying, don't make this mistake.
I was talking to a friend who works for the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control, which was in charge of the whole sort of effort during the COVID pandemic. And she was saying she's terrified. I mean, terrified not for her own job, although that's probably going to be vulnerable anyway. And a lot of other kind of scientists are very worried about that. But she said for the nation's health. And if they do go back on MMR or do go back and you suddenly have measles outbreaks galore.
Measles and polio.
And it's just unthinkable that you would turn the clock back on that. And yet RFK Jr. is kind of pressing all those hot button issues which speak to American denialism and speak to conspiracy theory.
The Newsagents USA.